Hi there, traders. This is Brad Gilbert with the FX Market Insight for the Wednesday, the 20th of February. All right, now, if you're having a look at the major currency charts, I've just sort of shrunk up the time frame here a bit to give you a look where these trend lines start from. Aussie higher, Euro higher, Sterling higher, Kiwi higher, dollar yen sideways, and dollar CAD just dipped down through support and it's lower. So what's going on here? You can actually sort of see, obviously, very clearly that the four major pairs that correlate the same way, Aussie, Kiwi, Euro, and Sterling, all moving the same way, and dollar yen being a bit of a safe haven, sort of a bit neutralised at this stage, and then you've got the dollar moving against the CAD. So the idea is work out which pair is driving what. Now, if you go through all the various components, to me, it's Sterling. Look at the move on Sterling. It's got the biggest move. That was the catalyst, I believe, for all the moves higher, or that slightly weaker dollar. Right? So if the dollar comes off hard against one pair, it will impact all the other pairs as it has. Dollar yen a little bit isolated as that sort of safe haven status where no one really knows what to do. It's just trading sideways. So Sterling, the major play here, and I'll give you a look at the news. The sort of the vibe going around is all about Brexit once again. Right, so this puts the US dollar on the back foot. But I just come across just quickly before I show you the news, just the dollar index itself. Now, the dollar index, now don't forget, this isn't a dollar move, right? This is sterling and euro also popping as well, putting downward pressure on the US dollar basket, the index, and that just weakens the dollar inadvertently, okay? So, yeah, short term, the hourly support at 97, the figure is broken. Sort of trading sideways, and it's sort of just floating around now, sort of drifting lower. But on the daily and weekly time frames, it's still just trading sideways. And if I actually just give you a bit of a look at that, I mean, if you just bring in the data on this chart, you'll see that, you know what, it's pretty much still over the course of everything within this sort of current band. It's just trading sideways. Short term, yep, it's popped lower. But that's all you've got to write home about. So it's not like there's a massive move happening here on the dollar. It's just a bit of a reshuffle of positions. Now, I come back and I sort of read the headlines here on the news services. Let me just switch you over to that, and you get all this ambiguity, and it's hard to sort of read what's what. I mean, there's been no major fundamental news out of the central banks. Sterling, Brexit is providing ample text for them to write articles. Now, up here at the top, dollar falls on US-China trade hopes. I mean, that's a load of crap too. It's just repositioning. I mean, the whole China issue, where it sort of does come in to make some sort of resemblance is, the dollar's weaker against the yuan. So the yuan has actually sort of come back into play. I know there's been a few comments, but it's been like every other day. They'll say dollar rallies because of US-China trade concerns, right? It's just day in, day out. They're sort of just writing an article to fit the puzzle. Now, Trump sort of defused it a little bit. He's saying there's a March 1st deadline. Trump's saying that's not the magical date, so which is basically moving the goalpost. The financial markets had the 1st of March as a potential date for an agreement. That's now looks like it's been wound out. So I would expect, this thing to just peter on until they work out some sort of deal. If you're looking for sort of information on global growth and these sorts of things, come back and have a look at the equity markets. They're so tied to growth at this stage. And you look at the US equities, I mean, that's as close to flat as you're ever going to see it. Okay, the Dow Jones up 0.03, Nasdaq 0.16. So, there's not much going on here. Asian equities, pretty mild as well. So, no major change there. You'd expect the equity markets, and also, I mean, here's that downward move in the US dollar against China. That's what they're sort of, saying, oh, it's going to be a great deal for China. Look at how the yuan's going. The Chinese fundamentals are getting chopped up, like chopped liver. So the dollar yuan is going to go higher. It's just a matter of working through the variables. So when you come back to trading, it's like, okay, you come back and have a look at your charts and you think, well, yeah, what can we do here today? So it's once again, it's a matter of trying to connect the dots here, see where the major fundamental drivers are coming out and see where we can potentially get something happening. Now, the Aussie, okay, we've got the wage price index coming out in about 15 or 20 minutes. That's got potential to really give the Aussie a bit of a boost. And with momentum up, you're looking for strong numbers to get a trade to the top side. Makes sense to me. The Kiwi is ready to challenge this next technical level. It looks like it could go higher, but I'll come back and show you in a minute. The fundamental side of the Kiwi is very odd. Okay, the RBNZ have come out quite hawkish. You go through their fundamental numbers; they're actually pretty crap. So something's wrong. Either the RBNZ knows something we don't know, or they've gone out on a limb to stop people, spending, like higher interest rate sort of ideas to really slow things down. But you know what? The economy is already slow. So Kiwi's in a very vulnerable spot as far as I'm concerned. Dollar yen, just trading sideways. I'm not even half interested in that at this point. Euro's still an interesting one. Fundamentally, Euro is going down. At the moment, there's a bit of a reshuffle of positions and it's slowly squeezing the market higher. We've got a chance to get back to 114, sort of 40, 50 up here, up to this resistance line. Still looking to sell, but at this stage, the markets are in limbo. And sterling, one of the major catalysts, okay, Brexit. Now, this thing's, as I said, I've been saying it the other day, like it could rally 200 points, it could drop 200. It's just so speculative that it's too hard to actually trade or manage your capital on those situations. Oil moving back to $56, puts downward pressure on dollar CAD. We've got mixed Canadian fundamentals, but the dollar weakness goes with that stronger oil, which supports a lower dollar CAD. Is that move going to continue? Well, I don't know at this stage. It looks like it's sort of done at this point. So if I just bring it back to, just to finish up, just give you a look at the MyFX Trading Hub. Now, as I said, we do have the wage price index in about 10 or 15 minutes. The real major release will come back, and this is our first major event from the Fed for a bit. The FOMC meeting minutes. Now, they could give us a little bit more insight into what's going on. Outside of that, we don't have a hell of a lot to look forward to today. It's a pretty quiet day. To me, the majors, well, you know what? The short term, they're not drifting sideways, but if you look at the overall outlook here on the major currency pairs, they have not changed since yesterday. Now, I understand sterling's 150 points higher, but on the daily and weekly charts, they're just trading within big ranges, or sterling is. The rest of the pairs, they've moved 30 or 40 points. So don't get excited. There's nothing tangible that I can see that you can rip into at this stage. Okay, what's dominating? Well, it's geopolitical events that are dominating at the moment. And then that's when I come back to look at the major releases. You're like, well, okay, this Fed announcement is going to impact all major pairs. So you definitely want to see if there's anything in it. By the time the minutes come around, we've usually found out everything we need to. So it's going to be a surprise. The only other thing that I would suggest is keeping an eye on, there's a few peripheral numbers, which I don't have on that calendar. If I just blow this one up, you can come down and see where the next bit of action is going to be. And what we're talking about is the wage price index. Now, this is a good inflation number for the Aussie. Now, there's pressure on the housing market in Australia, weak numbers. So if there's no wage index, which means there's no wage inflation, that means people aren't getting paid as much as with inflation, then, that's going to maybe push the Aussie down against the current trend. If these numbers come in strong, well, you know what? We could see the Aussie pop. It's a pretty short-term trading opportunity, but have a look at it anyway because there's not much else coming out. So then you've got the German producer prices. Once again, Euro's slowly going up. The numbers out of Europe have been very weak. We have to see how this one plays out as well. And then you go through the rest of the North American session. There's hardly anything out. So it does come down to those Fed minutes. All right. So there's not don't get overexcited yet. There's still plenty to play for this week. To me, like we're starting to get into, the real guts of like Thursday, right, is going to be a very busy day. We've got central bankers speaking, Aussie employment numbers, and then you get the CAD retail sales at the end of the week as well. So there's a few things in US durable goods to come out yet. So don't spend all your cash before the good trading opportunities come up, is what I'm trying to say. All right, guys, that's it from me. Once again, check out the fundamental sentiment. This may be of interest to a number of traders who are sort of battling with the fundamental aspect. This major technical outlook that you're looking at here, it's sort of basically technicals. The technicals obviously factor in the previous fundamentals, so understand that. But if you're looking for, say, direction out of some of these pairs, what you can do is go into each of these flags and you'll find the overall fundamental perspective for the dollar and all the other major currencies. And what we're doing is breaking it down into the components. So you can see the key economic fundamentals weighed up against the Federal Reserve outlook, and that's where you get the general direction for these currencies, right? It's going to be something good that you can really build your knowledge around. All right, guys, that's it from me. If you're after anything else, jump in the 247 trade zone. Plenty going on, and have a good trade day. We'll catch you later on. Cheerio.